Good afternoon. Welcome to the latest in our installment of Homeschool for Realtors. Things that you need to know to make you a better practitioner and to show yourself as the thought and knowledge leader that you are and want to be in your industry. Today we're going to talk about a simple issue that's often overlooked, and that is which contract is the most likely to successfully close. Now, if you ask 5 lawyers this question, you might get 5 different opinions. So today I'm giving you the benefit of mine, but it is based on and thousands of transactions. So for whatever it's worth, here's what I think and here's what my experience has taught me. As always, anything that you ever hear from me or any other attorney regarding legal rights or obligations or opinions about the contracts, you as a realtor need to lawyer is the only one who can give you final instruction on how you are to proceed. But please share these ideas with him or her, and if they have questions, they can call me. So back in the day, we all used, most frequently was used, what we call now the standard residential contract. Then it was just called, the FAR residential contract. Oh, and by the way, of course, I'm always going to suggest that you use FAR forms, because those are created by the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar coming together to make a contract. So of course, as a lawyer, I'm going to think that the product that the lawyers were involved in is better. But again, that's something you should talk with your broker and follow his or her instruction on what forms to use. But in any event, the FAR contract that we now call the standard contract has in it a provision that requires the parties to specify the amount of problems with the house that they will fix before going to closing. And during the inspection period is when those problems have to be revealed, communicated, and then decisions are made about the numbers. So for example, in a standard contract, if you represent the seller and you say that you will make $5,000 worth of repairs and the buyer finds $7,000 worth of mistakes or problems, you don't have to close, but you do have to fix that $5,000. So that was the contract that everybody traveled under, or most people traveled under, until the horrible collapse of the market starting in around 2007. What happened then is so many people were short selling and of course had no money for repairs, had no money to bring to the table at all. Everyone had gotten the habit of using the as-is contract. The as-is contract is a good contract in that the seller is agreeing to make no repairs. He's simply telling that you get $390,000, but I'm not going to fix anything. At first blush, that can sound like that's a good thing for your seller. The problem is what's happened in our industry is it has become standard for the as-is contract to be used. During the inspection period, that contract can be canceled for any reason at all, as compared to the standard contract, which limits the reasons for contract cancellation. In the as-is contract, during that inspection period, the buyer can cancel simply because they found another property that they like better. So what we see so frequently happen in the industry is during that inspection period, they'll find mistake or issues in the property that need to be repaired. And even though there's an as-is contract, they'll tell the seller, well, I'm not going to close if you don't fix these things. So the seller is left in an awkward position. They've either lost 15 days of a selling period and are now being basically held up by the buyer who is saying, look, I have a right to cancel for any reason. If you don't reduce your price or fix these things, even though I was supposed to take it as is, if you don't make those accommodations for me, then I'm walking and I'm not closing. So when I'm asked which is the contract that's more likely to actually get to closing, it's that standard FAR contract. That FAR contract that limits the way that a buyer can cancel the agreement. So let me say it again, just so I think sometimes I can be not as clear as I want, so I'm going to say it again. So under the FAR standard contract, A time is specified during which inspections have to be done. And during that inspection period, the contract can be for a limited number of reasons. So the contract can't be canceled simply because they went and found a house they like better the weekend after, or because they're not in the mood to buy anymore, or for whatever reason. Once they go under contract, they're really under contract. The deposit is binding unless they want to back out for the enumerated reasons in that standard contract. Now you contrast that to the as-is contract, which basically gives what I call a free buyer. The buyer can cancel for any reason or no reason at all. They just simply want to buy something else. And if they do want to buy the house and they find things about it that they want to have repaired, they so frequently will simply then just say to the seller, yeah, I know that we had an as-is contract. I know I was supposed to take it at the price that we agreed upon. But really, if you don't reduce your price by $7,000, or if you don't give me, that's Jacob, that's my youngest son. If you don't give me the money I'm looking for, or you don't reduce your price, then I'm walking. And what happens then, of course, to your seller is they've lost 15 or more, 15 days. It's been off the market when it could have been shown to other potential buyers. So in my mind, it's almost as if you don't really have a good contract until that 15 days is up. Yeah, your buyer has put a deposit down, but knowing the buyer can cancel the contract for any reason at all for 2 weeks, that to me, in my opinion, doesn't feel like a binding agreement. It's always important when you're in your practice of using your addendums, the different contracts that are using, you need to consider the circumstances. So for example, if you represent a buyer, you're probably going to want to use the as-is contract. It's going to be a big consideration in your mind whether you want your buyer to get a free look. If you represent the seller, you may want a more binding agreement, or there could be, it could be different reasons for the different parties other than what I've enumerated. The point is, don't just get in the habit of using the same form all the time because it happens to be closely located beside your desk, or it's the one that's on your desktop computer that you use most often in form simplicity. Make yourself a standout by really stopping and thinking, what's the best version of the contract for me to use for my clients under this circumstance? So again, for me, if you ask me which contract is most likely going to get you to closing, it's that standard contract where the parties have already decided they'll make repairs up to a certain amount. And as long as those repairs can be made within that amount, then the buyer really can't back out of the contract on that basis. So that's the why I think that's the one that's most likely to lead you to the closing table. If you ever have any questions about my opinions or experience on any realtors, you can always, I'm someone that you've worked with in the past or not, I'm always glad to help and provide information where I can. So hopefully this is again the takeaway. Make sure you know why you're using the form that you're using and that it's appropriate under the particular circumstances and for the particular party that you're representing. And of course, always make sure that you're keeping your broker in the loop and following his or her instructions on these matters as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please feel free to share this with anyone that you think that might find it of use. And we will be production video going out on the very same subject that you'll also be able to find on our site. So stay safe, stay happy, stay positive to the extent you can. It's tough out there, I know, but there's way more good than bad, and we're going to get through. Good luck, you guys. Call me if you have any questions or problems at all. Again, the contract most likely to get you to closing is the standard FAR, in my very humble opinion. You guys have a great day. Sell some real estate.